Oh, we lost your
Yeah,
video.
1 second. Oh shit.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, sorry about that. We are live and we are back with another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show. And thank you guys so much for joining. We got so much to talk about, so much news in the world of mixed martial arts, and so much news in Justin's career as well. We want to talk about everything today. But first, before we get going, we do want to say a big thank you to everybody. So it's been pretty cool. If you're a new subscriber, specifically, especially though the fans that have stuck with us since the beginning, has been growing this channel a lot over the last 6 months. We just hit 278 subscribers as of today, which is a really cool milestone. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I've been on the YouTube journey before. I built my Scalar Learning YouTube channel, which is the channel for my business. It's all about math and education. So I've been down this road before, just passed over 100,000 subscribers not too long ago, and it was really fun. But I gotta say, I'm having more fun with this, and the journey is super enjoyable, especially because people have been engaging so much and commenting and liking and really kind of chugging along with us as we go through this journey. People like Western Mass Climber, thank you again. And by the way, we're going to answer your question in 1 second about Justin's fight, but it's been a blast and we're going to keep ramping it up. We got a lot of cool video ideas over the next month, and what better time as we have some of the biggest UFC cards in history, in my opinion, if you ask me. Obviously, we had UFC 300, but I think we got some crazy ones coming up, including Conor's return on June 29th. So we're going to talk about all of this, but before we get into everything, Justin has had a fight this last week, and I'm going to let him talk about it because I know Western Mass Climber is asking, hey, how did the fight go? And I think I'm going to just turn over to Justin to let him kind of describe Friday. So, Justin, take it away.
Yeah, man. I had a great preparation. I had a great camp. I was feeling good. Just unfortunately, a couple minutes into the fight, I just got caught with an attack that I really wasn't prepared for. I got caught with a spinning heel kick right to the dome. On my opponent's on all his past fights, he's never thrown any spinning attacks. I've watched all of his fights. And just got essentially it's the old saying, wrong place, wrong time, man. I saw it when he started turning his back to me. I thought he was throwing a spinning back kick to my gut, and I brought my hands from here to block the body shot. He came up, as you can see, my black eye hit me kind of like straight across with his heel into the temple at about, I don't know, 2 minutes into the first round. Dropped me face planted. He come in for the finish, and survived another 2 minutes after that. And then with about 10 or 20 seconds left, the referee stopped it. It's kind of a bummer that he stopped it and wouldn't let me get to the second round, but it was an awesome attack. It's just the game we play, man. I'm totally fine with the loss. Obviously I'm bummed about it, but it wasn't a bad referee call by any means. It's the way of the sport. I've done it to, at least 10 other guys, drop them and finish them. So, unfortunately, eventually it's going to happen, and it happened to happen Friday night.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting seeing your demeanor and your outlook on it. I was really pleasantly surprised to see Justin on the day just like this. Hey, I gave it my all. I did the preparation the best I could, and I think that's the general mantra for anything, for trying to pursue anything, is like you can take solace in the fact that you follow the process, you follow the protocols, you do your preparation the best you can, and then after that, there's certain things that are just out of your control. Now, I was sitting in the third row, and I do want to kind of give my perspective of what happened as well. So Justin actually started off the fight really, really strong, and we were all super amped. I think the section that I was sitting in was all your people. I was sitting right by your dad, right by a bunch of your friends and people that were supporting you. I saw a lot of your coaches there as well, and people were really excited because one of the early things that happened is so this guy that Justin fought was a kickboxer from one championship, and now he's moving into mixed martial arts. And Justin obviously had the grappling advantage. This guy had the striking advantage, one of those types of situations. And Justin got him with the double leg, didn't take him down, almost did. Actually, no, I think you did.
No,
I think
I
you
took
got
him
him
down all
down.
the way. I took his back. Yep. I took him
Yeah,
down
it
all the
took
way
him
too.
down, but he got out of it eventually. But that part we were like all going crazy. And I think there was somebody behind me that was like telling you, hey, take your time. I didn't like know what was going on, so I was just screaming like, yeah, get him. And so that was really cool. Anyways, he got back up to his feet, and then they were starting throwing strikes again, and that's when the spinning heel kick caught you. And then the really cool part though was, it didn't knock him out. It definitely dazed him from our perspective, but he held his composure. He almost made it to the end of the first round. In fact, when the fight was called, us in the audience thought that we weren't sure if the fight was called or if time had ended. So it was that close. It was probably like 10 or 15 seconds away. It is what it is. What are you going to do? But Justin was, in my opinion, intelligently defending. Obviously, I'm not a ref, so I don't know the ins and outs, but you felt fine with the stoppage. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. Maybe I don't remember. I guess I almost got back to my feet.
Yeah, you did.
I see. I don't remember that. So, man, I was concussed. I definitely was on. I was rocked for sure. But 20 more seconds. Who knows what happens if we go into the second round?
Now, what have you done? Because I'm always curious to know about the fighter mentality, and we've talked about it obviously off camera. But like, what have you done in the time between the last few fights where you have this like strong mental state, where you legitimately, like, I'm not telling Justin's not telling you this and then like being upset behind closed doors, right? And I'm sure you have your moments, but in like we literally hung out all weekend and was in this really positive mindset. So what has changed in your mindset or your routines where you're like at this place where you're like, hey, I can put in everything I got, do my absolute best, and I'm cool with the outcome?
Well, I mean that you said it right there. Is I did everything I can. It wasn't like I cut any corners. I dotted all my I's. I crossed all my T's. Unfortunately, that just happens. When you were at the Chris Padilla fight, I think I thought it was a terrible, terrible call, and I think when referees take it or judges take it into their own hands and deliver your losses for you, that's a lot more devastating than losing fair and square. Chris Towney was the referee. He's a great friend of mine. He would never stop a fight early if he didn't think that he wouldn't prematurely stop it. Like I said, again, he's a friend of mine. He's a big hunter, and we talk about that a lot. Every time we see each other, we're talking about before the fight, in the back room when he's going over the rules and stuff. Like,
Right.
I asked him, I said, don't stop this fight early. He goes, don't worry, I won't. So, in his opinion, if he doesn't feel the fight was stopped early and he was, saving me some brain cells, I can appreciate it. And, unfortunately, that's just the way of the sport. I've knocked a lot of guys out. And some people don't like the stoppages, but that's just the way it is. And if Chris thought it was the appropriate time to stop it, that's all I can agree with.
All right. And last thing on this weekend, what do you see next for yourself? What are your plans? What fight do you want next?
So I don't know. I'm just gonna take the week off training and just recover, let my mind recover. Oh, excuse me. I've been sleeping a lot. I've been sleeping a lot, probably just from the long weekend, man. I've been sleeping all day today. I'm just basically just going to the gym for the couple hours I have to go, and then when I'm home, I'm just laying in bed, resting, let my body recover. I suffered a pretty nasty eye poke
Yes. Yes,
right
that's
before
right.
that spinning attack, and again, Chris missed it. Again, it wasn't a flagrant missed foul by any means.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just wasn't at the right angle to see it. I had the video. Somebody sent me the video of you can see his thumb going into my eye,
Yep.
and unfortunately, the referee just missed it, man. So I don't know what's next. I'm not done with fighting, but I think I'm done trying to get to the highest level, though.
The thing was with the eye poke, like we all saw it, and it's such a weird thing, right? When you got poked in this eye and you were wincing, yeah, exactly. The eye that you eventually got kicked, on that same side that you got kicked out. So you got poked. It didn't get called. We saw you wincing, but there was no break given. The eye poke wasn't called. And then shortly thereafter, you got caught with a spinning heel kick. Now, I don't know if he set it up like that on purpose because he's like, oh, his eye's compromised. I don't know if that was in his mind or not. But it's just so weird because like a mistake happens, or maybe I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? An oversight, and then at least this outcome. It's just such a difficult game. So, anyways, I'm just so happy that you feel the way you do about it, and I think that's incredible. And yeah, best of luck, and we'll be there for the next one. So
Hell
let's
yeah, let's
go.
go.
And yeah, on to the next. All right. So we gotta move along, and we got some questions here. Hey, what's going on, Torin? Here let's go to Western Mass Climber. He said it's like when I'm doing tree work and the homeowners let their dogs in the yard and I step in it, man, just deal and keep going. Fair enough. Yeah. That's it right there. Torin Brown, I see you in. Okay, I don't know what Brutal's chat is. All right, you guys are chatting, so no worries. Now we got so much more to talk about. This is a crazy week. We are in fight week for a huge fight, Dustin versus Islam. Okay, we got to talk about this. I know we talked about this before, but we have to talk about this with a fresh perspective. Now, before we jump in, I want to hear your thoughts, but I've been listening to everybody, including Dustin, including Islam, talk about the fight, plus everybody and whoever you want to think of talking about it. I've heard, and so Justin, the first thing I want to turn over to you, a couple of interesting things that I've been hearing. Like, I've heard certain people give Dustin only a 10% shot. I don't know how accurate you think that is. But one of the most interesting things that I've heard this week talking about this fight is that some people are saying that MMA Joey in particular, another YouTuber that I like to listen to, he's saying in particular, he believes that Islam Makhachev, and it's funny because Dustin is viewed as such an amazing Muay Thai striker, but he says the number one striker in the UFC is Islam Makhachev because you must also consider the threat of the takedown within the striking arsenal. So I thought that was a really bold statement and a very interesting statement, especially considering his last fight against Volkanovski. And let me turn it over to you as a professional fighter. What are your thoughts on that sentiment?
I mean, that's so when you talk about the number one striker, I mean, you're talking about striking. Now, Alex Pereira to me is the number one striker in the UFC. Not to say that Makhachev isn't great. Of course, he's awesome. You know, he's the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. But with that being said, that's more of the number one MMA fighter. You know, he's the ranked number one pound for pound fighter. You can't talk. That's like saying, you know, Dustin's the number one boxing a boxer in the UFC because everyone's afraid of his grappling. Like it just doesn't. They don't coincide. You can't. You know,
Sure.
it's you can't say someone's the best striker in the UFC with because of his grappling. That just means he's the number one MMA fighter in the world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because if you're worried about somebody striking, it's because of your. You know what I mean? So I don't. I see what he's getting at. And yes, and that definitely does play a part. But I mean, Dustin Poirier is a fucking dog, and you know, we all know that this is his last time. So I know
Yeah.
that Dustin's dotting all his I's and crossing all his T's, and I know whatever the outcome is, you know, I'm sure he's ready for it. So, dude, I'm really excited for this fight. I want to see what the odds are. I'm gonna look it up, and I'll probably put a little cash on Dustin because I think he's gonna be such a significant underdog.
I think it was minus 365 for Islam last time I checked. I'm going to check again right now. You know, that's another thing, like kind of knowing that this could very well, it seems to be that he's indicating in most of his interviews that this will be his last fight, even regardless of the outcome. I like, I don't think people have really processed that. Like, that is so sad. Because he is, I think, for most people, one of their favorite fighters to ever watch. I guess it is what it is. Everybody has their timeline, but it's super super sad. Another couple things, and by the way, I'm looking up the odds right now. Oh my god, they've changed. I swear they weren't like this before. Now the odds are minus 675 Islam. I wonder, but I swear we checked them last week and they were only minus 375. So something has changed. I don't know what. And I know the books kind of shift the odds based on how people are betting. So maybe a lot of people were betting on Islam. I don't know. But he's now at a minus 675. Another thing that people have been talking about in terms of Islam, I think Dan Hardy talked about this in particular. One of the things that he said he's most impressed by with Islam is the amount of patience that he has now developed, that he doesn't rush in. He kind of bides his time and holds back and waits for a good chance to take a good shot or get a good position or whatnot, or throw efficient strikes. Have you seen that evolution, or have you noticed that evolution in Islam's game over, you know, the last however many fights in the UFC?
I wouldn't say that. You know, Islam's improving constantly. You know, but again, I don't know what's going through his head. You know, when he fought Volkanovski for the first time, you know, I think he pushed the pace really hard there. You could see in the later rounds he was starting to gas out, and that's where I think Dustin may have the advantage here. You know, if he can survive to the third, fourth, fifth round, you know, then maybe his striking will come on point. You know, I think Dustin is a better boxer than Volkanovski. So I mean, dude, this guy, and he has a great power, man. You know, he's knocked so many guys out. He's knocked Conor McGregor out a couple times. The guy's a fucking dog. You know, it's really hard to talk about Islam's patience when you're gonna have somebody like Dustin Poirier in your face for 5 rounds, or Volkanovski before. You know, Volkanovski is pushing the pace on him, and you know, in that fifth round, you know, it's Volkanovski gets on top. If Dustin can do that, you know, it might be a different outcome. Plus, Dustin's gonna be so much bigger than Islam. Or excuse me, that's bigger than Volkanovski, not bigger than
Right.
Islam.
Yeah.
And so you know, even carrying that extra weight, you know, man, I'm glad the odds the way they are because I'm putting some cash on Dustin. What is it going to be like plus 475 or something?
Plus 490.
490, yeah. So,
Basically.
I mean, I'm putting some cash on Dustin. I'm riding with the hot sauce man. I love Dustin. He's been around the UFC since like 2012.
Yeah.
You know, how can you not root for the guy? Not to mention he's an American. Not saying I'm racist toward Russians, but I mean, personally, I love having the American champion, especially someone like Dustin, who's such a great guy in the community, such a role model for up and coming fighters. I don't know how anybody could root against this guy.
So, it's funny. I've been going back and forth in terms, like, I love both the fighters a ton. I have so much respect for both of them, and they are, as you mentioned, both really amazing role models. If you watch the Embedded, I was watching it yesterday, and it's so cool just to see Islam and his team and the family feeling that they have, all sitting around eating together. Ali Abdelaziz cooking them dinner, and like it's just that, man, that like brotherhood and that bond. It's just so amazing to me to watch them all come together and support their guy and do everything they can. They're praying together and they live such a clean life. It's like, who am I rooting for as the fan of, as a huge fan of both of them? And I think before I was kind of leaning towards Dustin, in terms, just not in terms of favoring, I just in terms of who I wanted to see win. But then you see something like that, I just don't know. I'm really conflicted, and I do want to see Islam build his legacy, because at the end of the day, I think if we look at the two fighters, it appears to be, and you correct me if you disagree, but I think Islam just has a much fuller set of skills, and he is the more well-rounded, probably better fighter overall. I think most people would agree with that. And I think for that reason, as much as I don't know, as much as I'm rooting for Dustin, I want to see that end of that story and that beautiful finish that I think I talked about in like last week's show. I feel like at the end of the day, it's Islam's time, and I don't know. I think I want to see him. I think I want to see him get the victory and see what he can do in the UFC, because I think he could be one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the, and even surpass Khabib's legacy. By the way, do you know what? Do people don't? I don't think realize this. You know what Islam's win streak is right now?
Like, I don't know, 16, 17. I have no idea.
I think it's like, no, I don't think it's that high. I think it's like 14 wins. This is insane. Okay, I'm gonna count them right now. Let me load it up here. People forget, because I think that we all are like, hey, Khabib was undefeated and Islam's not. I don't know. This is just my theory, but people don't realize this. Okay, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's had 13 victories in a row. I mean, who else? I think Bilal's on, maybe Bilal and Leon are on like reasonably long win streaks if you exclude the I poke the no contest and all that, but like that is insane. And I mean, fine, you can say what you want. Dustin Poirier probably has the more impressive resume, but his resume is nuts, right? And they both fought Charles Oliveira. That's pretty crazy, except obviously, the difference is Islam won. Alexander Volkanovski twice. And I mean, these guys are, Dan Hooker is super dangerous. I think he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He had a very close fight against Dustin. He barely lost that decision. So anyways, I just want to give props to Islam as well. I mean, he doesn't really need it. I think he's so respected in the sport. Final prediction. I know you're betting on Dustin. What do you see the outcome of the fight?
I think Islam's going to win. I think he's going to retain his title. I would love Dustin to. I'd love Dustin to pull this off. It'd just be such a storybook moment, Especially then you can go back and fight if Conor McGregor beats Mike Chandler. We have that matchup. I mean, that just opens so many avenues to so many great fights if he wins. If Islam wins, like who's next for Islam? I just think
Conor.
yeah, Conor. If Conor can beat Mike Chandler, so
Yeah.
I mean. Man, Islam and Conor would be awesome. Man, there's just so many opportunities for both fighters and whoever wins this fight, but I'm taking Islam Makhachev to win this fight.
All right. Western Mass Climber says I'm glazing Islam. Fair enough. Maybe I am, but hey, I do have mad respect for the guy, and I cannot wait for this fight. All right. Moving on to your teammate, your boy, Sean Strickland. And we have to talk about this fight, because I'm watching the embedded on these as well. It's super cool just to like hear Sean's perspective on life and different things and what's changing in his life and his fight mentality. But I want to start it off with something that I heard from Anthony Smith. So Anthony Smith talked about actually training with Sean Strickland, and man, he is so complimentary of Sean's skill set, essentially implying that as good as Sean is and as good as we've seen Sean, like people still don't really know how good he is. And I know you know that better than anyone from training with him, but he's like, I just don't think anybody, Anthony Smith said this, I don't think anybody can really hold a candle to Sean Strickland. Like he believes that he could beat anybody in that middleweight division, because he's only shown a small fraction of his skill set. And he's talked about how amazing his wrestling is, his takedown defense, the grappling in general, that people don't really see too much, because we generally see that really phenomenal striking, the crisp jab, the great defensive striking as well. So anyways, and by the way, and Paulo Costa, man, I mean, like a lot of people have been picking him. I've been hearing most people are picking Sean Strickland to win this, especially given 5 rounds. But people are picking Paulo Costa because of his intense power, the way he fights, he comes forward, etc. Very, very, very interesting fight. It's going to be an amazingly fun fight to watch. I know you're biased. Let's just put it out there. People are going to say that. But what are your thoughts in the breakdown stylistically of this matchup?
Man, I just was talking to Sean on Thursday. So right before my weigh-ins, man, I walk into the gym. You know, I had 2 hours to burn. I knew the pros were sparring. I go over the big cage. Now think about this. We have in one cage, we have Sean Strickland, we have Jamal Hill, we have Sadabu from the PFL, who's beaten Rory McDonald. You know, he's beaten some really big guys in the UFC. They're
Mhm.
all going round robin, round after round after round. But one guy held the candle above them all, and that was Sean Strickland.
Hmm.
Sean Strickland was getting so frustrated with his partners, with Jamal Hill, with Sadabu, and he's screaming. He's like, "Stop running away from me!" Sean is just walking these guys down. He was pinning Jamal Hill up against the cage and just unleashing fury on him. And I tell you what, it's the sharpest I've ever seen. Sean comes out of the cage, and our lockers are right next to each other. He's like, "Justin, these motherfuckers, they just keep running from me. They just keep running from me." I was like, fuck it, man. Like, you just got to keep walking them down, pin them up against that fence, and deliver damage. And that is exactly what he did to everybody in that round. Sadabu was able to dance around a little bit more, but man, Jamal Hill is training with us right now. He's doing his full camp at Extreme Couture, and him and Sean working together is just something incredible to watch. We're talking about two former UFC champions going head to head, day after day after day. I saw Jamal. I hollered at Jamal this morning, and think about that kind of intensity, that kind of work right there, man. Just these champions, these former champions going head to head. I have Sean Strickland putting the pressure on Paulo Costa. Now, Paulo Costa does have power, and he does have incredible punching power. He could catch Sean. Sean has been knocked out before, but I mean, Sean's defense is so crisp, and he rides that Philly shell so good. I just don't think Paulo, unless Paulo gets lucky, I don't think that Paulo can really efficiently land that shot consistently.
That spinning, I know he's been working on that spinning back kick. By the way, we're in Vegas. We saw his manager, Captain Eric, at Encore. That was pretty funny. Or you didn't see it, but I saw him. That's right. By the way, is that normal? Sean's a middleweight. Is that normal for middleweights and light heavyweights to spar? Is that pretty common since it's only one division apart? Or
Yeah, it's pretty common. So we kind of break up in the groups from like one lightweight to welterweight down will be one practice.
Mhm.
We have little guy practice and big guy practice. So like welterweight to lightweight will be the little guy practice, and then everybody else will be above that. So yeah, Sean is sparring with everybody.
Got it. Okay. I mean, this fight is going to be really, really fun. I think the press is even going to be fun too. I think we're going to have some good old fashioned Sean Strickland isms on Thursday. So I cannot wait for that. This is going to be, I mean, just these two fights alone have got me so amped for UFC 302. But anyways, we got to move on back to this good old fashioned drama with Ryan Garcia. So I want to talk about this because I've been getting a lot of funny comments and sort of some people getting mad at me about my video where I said, hey, I think that Ryan Garcia may have been framed. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this, I talked about it a little bit on Friday, but I wanted to give this to Justin, get Justin's opinions in particular. So there is a gentleman on in the comments that, hold on, let me find this, that has been responding to that video, and he kind of got mad at me, and he's like, hey, come on, like, what are you talking about? He cheated, etc. And we've been kind of going back and forth, very friendly way, but this is very interesting. So let me read you this comment. I want to get your thoughts on this whole Ostarine scandal. Now, it's kind of come down to one of two things: tainted supplements, or did he take it intentionally, right? And I think most people are believing that he had tainted supplements. Derek from More Plates, More Dates believes that because the amount was so small that it would provide no benefit. Also, Ostarine is not a smart substance to take because it's very easy to detect. There's no natural production of Ostarine in the body. So he said, why would anybody do this? Now, his name is The Sports Guy. If you're watching now or after the fact, thank you for this comment. So let's, I want to get Justin's take. So I said, hey, Derek from More Plates, More Dates, this is video. Does that change your mind? He says, no, it doesn't change my mind. Ryan isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. The reason he took Ostarine is because it has a half-life of 24 hours. Ostarine can also be used during the cutting phase. And this guy's a former professional boxer as well. This is what he said in the comments. During the cutting phase, people often have to abide by hard diets. It has the capability, Ostarine has the capability of maintaining both muscle strength and mass during caloric deficits. Most likely, he wasn't aware that his body would store the drug in his fat cells. So when he hired Scooter, I don't know who that is, to help him cut 16 pounds in 12 hours, his body released what it had stored, causing him to pop dirty. Now, as for it being in his supplements, Ostarine has yet to be approved by the FDA for certain safety reasons and has deemed them to be illegal. So let's use common sense on this one. Why would a reputable company like Gaia risk their reputation by adding an illegal substance to a natural supplement? That's true, but I have heard that it does happen a lot, that ostarine is commonly found as a contaminant in tainted supplements. Anyways, he said the bottom line is Ryan tried to cut corners and it came back to bite him. I could break it down more, but I think you get the point. So that's where it's at. He feels very strongly about this. And I haven't heard that before. I haven't heard many people talking about ostarine as a cutting agent. So you, as a professional athlete, do you have a stance on this, or have you heard anything similar?
I actually have known nothing about Austrian. I don't know what its performance enhancing qualities are. I don't know anything about the half life. And other things, that are more common like testosterone. I could have a better opinion on that. But it sounds like this guy knows his stuff, man. If he's a pro boxer, I appreciate you in the comments, giving us some knowledge because, yeah, I don't know enough about it to have an opinion about it or to have an opinion about, why or how he could pop, to
Yeah.
be 100% honest.
Fair point. All right. So, anyways, to the sports guy, I know you gave me some slack about not knowing enough about boxing. I mean, you're right. We are not boxing enthusiasts. We're MMA fans at the end of Justin's an MMA fighter, professional fighter. He obviously is the expert. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts, so I don't know the boxing world, but I was just caught by Ryan's story and that entire fight buildup. It was very gripping. So I want to talk about it, throw in my 2 cents. So, anyways, we'd love to hear back from you. If you watch this video, give us your thoughts on what you think is going to be next for Ryan Garcia. I think now he's even saying that he may not fight ever again. And more drama that I talked about on Friday. I didn't get your thoughts on this. You know what's happening now? Ryan Garcia is now being sued by Logan Paul for defamation against Prime because he went on a bunch of interviews and talked all the smack about Prime and made some statements that I don't think can be can be backed up. And so rightfully so, Logan Paul is now, or Prime, the organization, is now suing Ryan Garcia for defamation, and apparently it's for a lot of money. So I don't know what's next for Ryan Garcia. People are talking about a potential rematch against Devin Haney. What do you think? I mean, I know boxing, you're not so enthralled by these fights, but is that something you'd be somewhat interested in?
Yeah, I'd definitely watch it. I'd be curious how the odds makers come out, for a rematch on that. But with
Yes.
that being said, with him popping dirty, what's the suspension going to be like? Is it going to be a year suspension, 6 months? He just bet, $2 million on himself. He won $10 million. Does he really want to do it again? It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of if factors going forward with this fight. Does Ryan even want to? Like I said, he said he's made all the money. He doesn't care if he ever fights again. And so, I definitely would tune into the fight just because of the drama in the first fight. But again, not a boxing enthusiast, and I really don't care that much about boxing. But this fight I would tune into, and then obviously like a Francis fight I'd tune into.
Oh, yeah, of course. So last thing, by the way, about tainted supplements and popping dirty, I did want to mention Khalil Roundtree did get a suspension. It's only 2 months.
Yep, I heard
So
that.
that's pretty cool, and I think that's what you were hoping for and what you were kind of talking about in our last videos. And after those 2 months, I think he's going to get a new opponent. So I think, I'm happy for him. I think that's phenomenal. I think that's the right thing, especially hearing Justin's perspective. So awesome, congratulations, Khalil. All right, we got 2 more topics. Next one, this one was all over the place yesterday. We were planning to do a show, but I was driving back. We weren't able to connect in time. But let me show you guys this video really quickly of Conor partying. It's been everywhere, and people are saying all sorts of things. I want to tell you some of the things people are saying. All right, check this out. So that's him and D, by the way, his fiance. So it's not some, going a little crazy. I think I heard that this celebration has to do with, I think, like a sports team winning or something like that. So people were making a lot of it and saying, "Oh my God, he's not taking it seriously." Now, I want to tell you a couple of things that I heard about this, and then I want to get your take because I think some of the takes I heard are a little silly. So one thing I heard was that this is an intentional thing that he posted intentionally, and he wanted to get out almost to mess with Chandler as like a mind game to say, hey, to make Chandler think he's not taking it serious. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think that's what happened. Hey, maybe it did. But that's one take that I heard. And then another take I heard from Anthony Smith and Michael Bisping. We're just like, hey, sometimes even in training camp, you need one night to just get out there, let loose. Like, you have so many things going on in your head that, hey, you go out and you party one night or 2 nights or whatever it may be. It's not a big deal. And that's actually a positive thing for mindset. Justin, what are your thoughts? Like, first of all, do you think this could be a mind game, or do you just think, hey, you just need to let off a little steam and that's all good?
Man, it's probably just letting off a little steam. You know what I mean? Like if he's doing it every night or every couple nights, like yeah, that's a problem. But I agree with Anthony Smith, man. Training camps are stressful. Dieting is stressful. I mean, yeah, you see him dancing with his fiance. You know, I mean, what's wrong with going to a nightclub and dancing with fiance? As far as you can tell by the video, he's 100% sober. Maybe he's drinking water. Maybe he drank a couple beers. Like you
Exactly.
know, it's hard to tell off this video. You know, Conor McGregor, you know, some people have said he's one of the greatest, you know, combat athletes of all time. This guy knows what he's doing. I could see him trying to put a ploy out there that, hey, look, I'm partying, but taking it serious. But I'm gonna agree personally with Anthony Smith and say, like, hey man, he's just probably getting out there, letting his letting some steam off, dude. Training camps are stressful, dude. Dieting is stressful. The
Yeah.
preparation is all stressful. I'm totally fine with it, to be honest. And you know what? Everyone else can make their opinion about it, but the fight game's a stressful game, man, and sometimes you got to blow off some steam.
Yeah, I get it too. You know, I was thinking about this the other day in terms of this fight and what's coming up and what's at stake. And I can't think that he's taking this fight lightly for a couple of reasons. One, this is a huge fight for him because it's kind of like he's got to win this. I mean, he'll still have options. We'll still want to see him fight, but if he can win this, what it's going to mean not only to him but for the UFC as an organization is going to be out of control, because if he wins this, no matter what happens in the next fight, he's probably going to get a title fight, whether it's going to be a BMF fight, a fight against Islam, or a fight against Leon. It's going to happen. And imagine what that's going to do for the UFC as a company, as a platform. And I imagine they are even probably to some extent making sure that I imagine that they're probably trying to at least encourage him to whatever extent they're allowed to, or, you know, where it's not kind of like favoring one fighter, but making sure that, he's in there and he's doing what he needs to do. I think, because I feel like this could catapult the UFC. I mean, remember, Conor McGregor coming in is part of the reason, a huge part of the reason why the company had such a high valuation and sold for what it did. I think we could do it again now, just slamming the stock price through the roof if he gets enough fanfare and all these different things going. A title fight against Islam. I mean, I can't even imagine. So I think this has got to be a one-off thing too. I think that he knows this, the entire company, and the company will be fine, but like the going to the next level or out of the stratosphere is relying on him. I think he's taking it seriously. He's a professional at the end of the day. So I know we see some comments in here. Western Mass Climber said he's going for Chandler at this point. I'm still riding with Conor. I just have to believe that he's going to do the right preparation. He's going to use that genius mind of his when it comes to mixed martial arts. He's going to pull this off. I think I really think he's going to do it. So that's my take. Justin, where do you sit on this?
You know, here's the thing: the UFC has a narrative, and you know whether the fans talk about it, but the fighters definitely talk about it. The UFC, I think, really puts people in situations to who they want to win and they want to win.
Yeah.
There's a reason they've given this matchup to Chandler. All right, excuse me, to Connor. That and to me, man, the storyline says that they need Conor to win, and I'm sure we could even make a video of a video of all the reasons why the UFC wants Conor to win or needs Conor to win.
Yeah.
And it's just with that UFC narrative on the line. Like I said, I know a lot of fans don't talk about, especially casual fans, but the fighters do, and the fighters do believe it's real.
Mhm.
And you know, like I said, it's way more beneficial for them, for Conor McGregor to win this fight and move on to a championship fight than
Of
Michael
course.
Chandler win this fight.
I mean, of course, we just have to admit it, and I don't think that means the UFC is doing anything nefarious. They're matchmaking in a way to look. They talk about it all the time. What are they experts at? Building stars, and I mean, what does that mean? That means creating the right matchups and creating the right platform for victory for the right way. I mean, it is what it is. It's not as though they're doing any again, things that would be viewed as nefarious in terms of interfering with the fights. I don't think it's that, but I think they're setting up matchmaking in a way that is favorable for the organization as a whole, which I find nothing wrong with. And at the end of the day, that creates a better, more interesting fights and more interesting storylines for fans like us. So, or fans like me, I should say, and fighters like you as well. So I think that is probably what is happening as well. A lot of people have said too that, Michael Chandler is very dangerous, but this is a favorable matchup for Conor. So I'm still riding with Conor. I'm hoping I just really think it'd be so amazing if we can pull this off. So anyways, by the way, Western Mass Climber was asking, you have a broken orbital? I believe the answer is no, but I'd throw it out to you. Yeah.
Nope,
Just
just a
the black
little
guy.
little tender.
Okay. All right. Last topic of the day. We are back to Khamzat Chimaev. Oop, we got a little spelling mistake. Hold on, let me fix that. Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. And now the reason why I want to bring this fight up is we're getting closer and closer. We've been having a lot of people talk about this matchup. But what's really interesting is that the majority of people that I've heard, and this could be wrong if you look at the overall number of predictions, but so many people are picking Robert Whittaker. Now, I know it's a very close matchup, and obviously Robert Whittaker is the much more experienced fighter. He's a former champion, and he is tough as nails, so well-rounded. But I mean, I don't know. I still feel like Khamzat to me is gonna take care of business. He's gonna pull this off. Um, Justin, where do you sit on this?
Man, this is a great fight. We have an up and coming star in Khamzat right now, man. He's red as hot as the sun. He's finally had some really tough drag out fights, test his durability. On the other hand, you got Robert Whittaker. This guy's a former champion, an incredible striker. The guy can wrestle, he can grapple, he can do it all, man. And with the excuse me, he has the experience over Khamzat. He has the championship experience. This is this is a coin flip fight for me. I know that you're riding with Khamzat all the way because he's one of your favorite fighters, man. But it's hard for me to not root for the old dog. I'm taking Robert Whittaker.
All right. Well, that's a fair point. Yeah, I'm sticking with Khamzat Chimaev. And I would say, I got to be honest, I think he's my favorite fighter of all time. There's no fighter that I'm more excited to watch than Khamzat Chimaev, and how incredible. Dana White said back in the day, Khamzat is the most special fighter he's ever seen. He said that back when Khamzat was on the rise and on the come up. And then obviously, I know we've had these rumored visa issues that have slowed down his breaks. He's had 400 days off and 350 days off. I mean, he's had these massive layoffs. I don't think are his fault. Obviously, we had the problems with COVID and some people theorizing about long COVID and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, Khamzat is so exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen. Look at the Kevin Holland fight. Nobody did what he did to Li Jingliang is insane. People are forgetting. And I think the reason why people are being so critical about the Kamaru Usman fight, which blows my mind, what he did to Kamaru Usman was insane, is because unfortunately, when you have that much hype and people literally think you're Superman from another dimension, just a smashing machine that can't be stopped, and you see a little bit of adversity, they're just like, it's all hype, it's nonsense. I mean, it's just so insane to me. But at the end of the day, and by the way, Khamzat is an awesome guy. Like, if you listen to him in interviews, he's grounded. He's like all about good foundational values and morals. He always talks about how he doesn't want to be rich. He just wants to take care of the people that are around him and give and help and all that stuff. And his work ethic is amazing. All these things that just, to me, make him, and he's hilarious on the mic without even trying to be. He's just himself. So, I mean, I don't know. He's just the best. Wicked striking, crazy grappling. And obviously I'm biased in wanting Khamzat to win, but I do believe he will win as well. And I guess we'll see in not too long, in a few weeks. Anyways, that is it. Somebody, oh my God. Somebody, Western Clapper said, Dustin's my favorite fighter after Justin Jaynes and Max Holloway. Let's go.
Let's go. That's my guy.
And Perm166 says, I have no idea about this one, but both are so good at what they do.
And I'm with Pern right there, man. Like, true. Dude, I mean, again, we got this rising industry, and I love Khamzat, dude. I wish him the best. This is just a tough fight, and I think I have to always side with the old dog because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm the old dog at the end of everything, and it's like I love just seeing guys like me going out there against a young guy and coming ahead because there's just so much adversity that Whittaker has to battle through injuries, through his weight cut, through all. I mean, the guy's been fighting the best fighters in the world for the last 10 years, man, 5-10 years. And it's just hard for me because I can relate to him. I can relate to him more than Khamzat. And,
Fair.
He's suffered some losses and, stuff like that. So it's hard for me not to root for Robert.
Fair enough. And it's hard for me not to root for him. I love Robert Whittaker. I was rooting for Robert Whittaker over Israel Adesanya on their first fight. I love Robert Whittaker. He's the best. I love his show, by the way. He's got an amazing podcast. It's called MMA Arcade. I listen to it every week. Oh, I didn't even tell you this, man. Robert Whittaker's insights and analysis is amazing. It's next level. Actually, he's one of my favorite guys to listen to when it comes to fight predictions and breakdowns and matchups. So obviously they have a much bigger platform than we do, but if you haven't checked out MMA Arcade, it's dope. The first half of the show is all about mixed martial arts, and then the second half is about gaming, which is a passion of his, not one of mine, but hey, I always stick around for the MMA analysis. Such a smart guy, such an awesome guy and funny guy as well. Okay, guys, that is it for today's show. What a blast this was to talk about all these topics. We've been waiting to do a show because Justin had the fight on Friday, so we didn't get to get together on Friday. But man, the world of mixed martial arts and the UFC is on fire, so we cannot wait for this weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you are a new watcher and you do like what you see, please, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Join us along in this journey. We are committed, and we got a fire video coming out about Khamzat very shortly. I'm almost done with it. I've been crunching numbers, making spreadsheets, comparing him to some fighters that you very well may know, the likes of Anderson Silva, Demetrius Johnson, Khabib, etc., GSP, obviously. So we're doing some stats comparisons, and I think you're going to be intrigued by what I have found by looking at everybody's first 7 fights. So that video is dropping hopefully later this week if I can get the time to finish it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. Like this video if you did like it, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.